We took a week off. It's my fault. I'll hold the L for it. I was moving. It was a busy time, but we're back, baby. We've seen some crazy Call of Duty action lately. We're going to cover the London home series that happened. This is episode 19 of Hardpoints. And some crazy shit's been going on in the CDL. We've seen a lot of talk. We've talked a decent amount on Hardpoints about the GAs and things like that, but we finally got to see more gameplay with the meta shift, whatever you want to call it, in the last couple of tournaments. It's had some kind of unexpected results, in my opinion, but we're going to dive into the action. Boys, how are we feeling today? Are we feeling refreshed after a little break from the podcast? Nope.
Life is moving. I'm doing it.
I just streamed like 12 hours. I do not feel refreshed right now. But no, dude, I've been fried. I don't know about you, Joe, but like between the MFAM tournament, Chipotle tournament, CDL tournaments, back-to-back weekends, I am cooked, to be honest with you.
Can't wait. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Can't wait.
I like that.
I love this shit.
I'm ready for a break. I'm ready for a break between this tournament.
Honestly, we're all kind of doing our thing. So much stuff going on, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sprinting uphill. I'm flying. Grinding.
I like that a lot. So I guess we'll hop right into it. London. Well, okay. I'll just very briefly. We skipped the episode where we would have covered the New York home series. We saw what happened there. That was an interesting time where I knew a lot of volatile things were going to happen. But we saw New York come away with that one. Pretty insane stuff. Leading into London now. I'm just going to throw up the bracket right here so everyone can see what happened. And then we'll also give you guys a CDL points update, because that's going to be increasingly important as we get closer and closer towards champs. Like, one seeding difference can really dictate these teams' tournament. Like, if you start in losers or win around one or whatever it may be, like, it's a crazy sort of advantage or disadvantage depending on the situation. But London right here, bang, graphic going up. Boys, walk me through some key matchups, some key teams, just overhead view, and then we'll go a little bit deeper into some of these teams.
I guess we can start talking about the winners if we want. Like Empire, where'd they go? 12-1 in map count. I was looking at that
series, I think.
Best tournament so far. Yeah. At least this year. They dude, their KDs are like all a 1.2 to 1.3. They just shit on everyone. Basically, it wasn't all that competitive. I don't know. I mean,
Florida or no? They played what? Did they play a close?
No,
Rio
smoked them.
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Yeah,
that's probably the biggest matchup, right? Is they beat New York 3-0, they beat Florida 3-0. I think when people were probably thinking like, all right, New York hype train, they don't make a semifinal, which is a big deal. But then in the semi where Dallas has had problems with Florida, they lost game 5 and a game 4. Where it looked like Florida just owned that series. They smoked them. And then they got Paris in the final. And I think everybody was sort of just like, we'll see how map 1 goes, but we think we know how this is going to go, right? Paris, it was like a great run for them. It was much needed for like their playoff, like top 8 hopes. But for Dallas, it just feels like, I don't know. Dallas, we knew they were always going to be competitive. I think they continue to improve. They continue to like motivate each other. I think Ray has them all on the same page. It is a team, when I watch them and commentate them, I can see what they are trying to do on the map, if that makes sense. And there's only a few that like can do it as clean as them. I think Atlanta is probably another one, Chicago at times, but like when you listen to their comms, what they're trying to do on the map, how they're trying to set things up, it is like obvious that they are one of the better teams at doing that.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with Clay on the barracks, and we dove into that communication side of it too. And Crowder, I'd like to hear what you think too. I guess you too, Clint, because you've dealt with players over the years too. There's a clear difference for me on the players that understand what that level needs to be at. And I don't know if that's I don't know a lot of the new guys that have come in, but if I had to assume, not a lot of them probably are on that same page. Like, there's a clear difference of who good quality, consistent communicators are in the league at the pro level. And the teams that usually have the most success have those types of people on them.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you said that, because my team talks about it a bunch. we actually we give props to Dallas a lot of times when they have listen-ins, because I think one of our bigger issues is not a lot of obviously the gun skill talent kind of thing. It's more or less sometimes like comms get missed, we overtalk each other.
Right.
You've heard an Atlanta face listen in, and then you've heard other teams,
sometimes you get too cracked, right?
yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of younger players are just very cracked, right? And and that usually leads into the energy of the comms, though. It seriously does.
Definitely.
Where you play a game where it's a very sound oriented game. It's a very weird spawn system kind of game. So you have to know where your players are, what they're watching at all times. And I feel like communication in this game's almost more important than ever because of the fact that sometimes you just don't know where the other team's going to spawn. So you need to really be on the same page where in other games you could just play and be like, if I get a kill here, they're spawning here, right? So it's a little different. So that's something we've been actively obviously working on too. And I honestly completely agree with you, though. I think a lot of people don't realize how important clean cut communication is and not saying extra bullshit when you're playing, because a lot of times you can't hear what's going on, and B, it's just so much useless stuff that can literally mean so much. And obviously as players, being a veteran player at the time when I was competing, I think that is so important that a lot of players need to learn.
Yeah.
Well, I think last year too, we heard it. I think because Black Ops 4 with 5v5, we heard it at times where it was just it was almost better if someone just wasn't talking.
Yeah.
Honestly, really, it was almost just only say what's on your screen, just focus on shooting, because you're gonna have most teams are gonna have their team generals. We literally 5 people talking all at once is a lot. I mean, 4 sometimes. When we used to do old listen-ins, it could be a lot. And then you're adding another person in there. It's almost just someone just needs to sort of focus on their gunfights in Eltree or whatever it may be. But I felt that last year. I think we talked about that, Clint, myself, a number of times of that guy's not really talking. He's only giving info when he needs to. That's sort of fine because of 5v5.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Totally.
Especially that's actually true too. The 5v5 thing did throw a loop into everything.
So in a sense, I feel like those general in-game leader players are more valuable in a 5v5. But also the players that are tunnel vision cracked, only focus on gunfight, I don't want to say selfish necessarily, but some of those players actually benefit from because you don't really have to talk sometimes, depending on your teammates and things like that.
Yeah.
Interesting dynamic there.
It always brings me back to what was that crazy listening where Envy came back on United in that uplink, and it was the listening. I think Apathy and John said 6 words over the course that entire half as they came back. They just literally ran around and fried everyone while the other 2 called out. But I don't know, that always stuck with me.
And it's weird though, because that's
one.
the one thing with that example. I agree with you, but I feel like if you say 6 words in this game, it's not nearly enough because of how unpredictable this game can be.
Yeah.
So you have to find that happy medium in between, not going totally silent because your team needs your info, especially if you guys have played multiplayer. The mini map is horrendous in this game. It's very hard to see where all 5 of your players are sometimes because of how small it is.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So you need to give the info, but you have to do it in the right way of just not talking over one another, keeping it silent when there's nothing to need that needs to be said. It's a weird medium, but yeah, I definitely agree with what Maven said. You guys all said it's just something that some players do actually not even realize that they're doing wrong sometimes, in my opinion.
But yeah, it might just heavily rely on this game and just being as inconsistent as it is.
Well, it's always important, but I think this game is the most important. Period. Just overall.
For sure. I think since we just talked about the winners, I'm going to throw up the points really quickly, and then we'll start covering some of the other matchups that we saw. Leading into champs, obviously, it's super important depending on your seeding. You can see Dallas Empire pick up a clutch 50 points right there with the win. You can see teams really outside of the top 4. The top 4 is in their own sort of league. You guys can see that quite clear. 250, 240, 220, 220, and then all the way down to subliners at 140. They're at 5th. So there's a distinct battle between the middle seeds, the top seeds, and kind of the bottom seeds.
I think all that really matters, there can be some movement, but it's the only thing I think really matters about Optic and Jump Paris to get out of round 1. I think that's the main thing. Outside of that, I guess there could be some shuffling. Toronto. Yes, correct. Or Toronto. Wait, so how How far behind
They
in
play
points
each
are
other.
they?
They're
Toronto,
30.
no, Toronto would have to get to the final though. Yeah, so Toronto would have to get to the final. Optic just have to get out of groups because if Optic get out of groups, they get 20 points. They tie Legion. They have the head-to-head over them tiebreaker. Toronto, I think, have to get to the final.
So it's possible,
and that's just
but
a
unlikely.
tie. And then I don't know what their head-to-head for the tiebreaker is.
Is that all it is?
Toronto,
Head-to-head?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Unless it changed because the article I looked at from January, but the first tiebreaker was head-to-head match win percentage. Okay. So Optic has beaten Paris twice. Paris beat them once. I don't know, but I didn't look at Toronto and Paris, but. Yeah,
I mean, the next one would be map percentage, and I think Optic still has a better map percentage than Paris. Well, no, they have 35%. So, this can matter.
Well, it's head to head.
Oh yeah.
Head to head game win percentage.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking is I don't know if January they announced the revision of the league.
They
I
did.
imagine.
That's why I'm not sure if that changed at all.
Because the way I'm thinking of it is you couldn't. There's no way to. We just saw Atlanta, Chicago for the first time, right? Like it's not like you have a guaranteed schedule of you're playing that team twice, so it goes to head to head. So that's the only thing to me, like that could matter. That would be weird if someone was just like 1-0 over someone. It was like, yeah, you beat them once. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I don't know.
Works. Yeah, somebody said it. I don't know if we said it on broadcast or I saw a tweet from someone, but. Someone said that Optic need to get to a final, but I don't think that's true. I hope I'm not wrong on that, but according to the head-to-head rules I'm looking at, they're good if they get out of groups.
Gotcha. So you can see the impact of Paris's performance in this last tournament and how much it kind of saved them. Those 30 points
puts pressure on everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like, and especially a team that was looking as flat as they were. Super impressive to see them sort of bounce back.
Well, it was cool. It was interesting. Well, not cool. So I had a conversation, I think I might have mentioned this on an episode or two ago, where I think it was like Assault said that before that World War II championship, their scrims were so good they knew they were going to win, like how important scrims are leading into the event. And Chris has talked about that too. Like scrims right before are so important, you know how you're going to do. And I think Kismet or someone tweeted like scrims have been really good. We're locked in, stuff's clicking. I don't know verbatim what it said, but basically that they're playing good. Finally. And then they came out like the first map against Empire, whatever it was, like 2006, and everyone's like, oh well, fuck, here we go again. And then Zed's mom calls out Joe and I, and suddenly they're just running through people.
I think it was Shosh though. He said like we've been good in scrims multiple events. I mean, and then they just would show up, they wouldn't perform. Yeah, so like,
and
there are a lot of West Coast players too, right? Are they all West?
I think they're based mostly west. I don't know, but
I think Zed's like North Carolina, maybe.
One or two of them in North Carolina.
Kismet's at home, and then I think the rest are west. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That doesn't make it easier.
But like to Joe, to what you just said about that, I feel like people also like scrims are really important because to address what Maven said, scrims are important just because of the fact that you have confidence. I don't care what you say. If you are 7-1 in teams, 8-1 in teams, or 8-0 in teams in scrims, like your players are feeling good before that tournament, which usually results in like good results, right? But like if you're playing well in scrims and like if you were to play like Dallas Empire or anyone in scrims and you were to 5-2 them, you win like 3 hard points, lose 2, and then win 2 doms, right? And like or whatever it is, 5-3 them. Like you think you have a good day of scrims, but if you play them in a match, like you know how vetoes go, right? One of those maps you won probably gets vetoed because of the fact like, and then you veto one of the maps you lost. If you start where like you just have like you lose the map that you normally win, right there you're down 0-1 in the series. You don't even play hardpoint again. Like scrims are like weirdly like you can play well in them and still have a bad event, but at the same time, like it's just like right now I feel like showing up in this game is the most important thing because
I guess
MW is a little unpredictable and like having those days of consistency is good, but showing up like when it matters, like right now with how good teams are, is just like so like overlooked.
They kind of prove what Joe talked about too, like with the search thing.
Yeah, the search, but I guess like we you know a lot of them are vets. Like I guess because a lot of people ask for them to have roster changes and this and that, and I guess like if their scrims are going better than we don't see scrims, like then they have a good idea of like we really don't need to change. Like we do play these teams really well, so that is like the one thing where I could see like why they didn't pull the plug on the roster.
It wasn't it wasn't clicking when it mattered, but like it was clicking in scrims, so like they could do it. They just have to do it, right? You know,
and that was like one of the best feel good things of the year too, though, because like I think all of us all of us, I think, in our like hearts, would love for teams to stick it out and improve together, like not make changes too quickly. But I think
Absolutely.
for all of us, it got to the point where like, what the fuck is going on? Because it was so long where they struggled that
Yep.
everyone was
Well,
like, what the fuck's
and look
going
at the
on?
trend. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trend of things of like the teams that are
100%.
making changes are getting better.
But
Yeah.
how good does it have to feel to them? Because I know it made me feel good to see them succeed, like sticking through it, improving together, making it to a final, even if you got smoked in the final, you still made it. Like it makes it all worth it, right? Like all the
Oh,
Yeah.
shit
I
talk
mean,
from analysts and commentators and fans, like I don't know, makes it all worth
from
it.
personal experience, my face team with Priest, Azuma, and Attach in World War II, we were so good, and then we were so bad, and then we were so good, and then we were so bad. But like, it feels awesome to like go through that as a team. Like even though the
Mhm.
bad times kind of suck because you're just constantly just not getting like
Getting
you're
smoked.
constantly getting
Yeah.
smoked. But like when you do finally figure out like what's going wrong, like you make it work, like it feels great. Like our World War II champs, I think we got third, and we went like 10-1 in hard points that event. So we were like negative in every other event in hard point, but like we finally figured it out and made it work. So like it's definitely a good
That
feeling.
that's rare though too. Like if they weren't Paris Legion, like
Mhm.
if they were a team with higher expectations, no chance they could have made it through that. No chance that roster stuck together for 3
That's
months
true.
and got to improve like that. Like, no
Yeah.
fucking way. If that was
Yeah.
any of the other top teams,
It's too much
maybe
pressure.
you
Yeah.
guys, Chris, maybe. But if you were having those results where you didn't win for 2-3 months, I don't know. Something might happen. Maybe you're
Yeah.
the outlier, but it almost kind of worked out for him. That's probably why we don't see it a lot too. It's just because I don't know. A lot of times what happens is like teams with maybe more expectations, but I don't know. It
Yeah.
was cool to
That's a good
it was cool
point.
to see. Now I'm like, I don't know. I hope they can make some sort of run
Well,
at champs. But dude, did you look at the stats though? Like how funny it is when you just look at the two teams that were in the finals. I'm just looking at the KD, but when you look at the KD of Legion versus Empire, it's fucking comical. And I know they got there through search. They won every search until the final, and that
yeah.
skews KDs. It obviously does, but it's hysterical the difference. I mean, that's what search does for you though.
Absolutely
Yeah,
does.
search is super important too. So, and that's cool though to have Paris. Remember how we used to talk about them? Like Paris is a team that could upset you, right? Like that was like they were very good in the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
right? When they were like their
Mhm.
hard point was looking really good and everyone was kind of surprised. That's like I feel like they're getting back to that again, where like now they can do now they can do their thing again. Like they look great against New York and other teams too. It's cool to see teams like have those moments. I'm happy for them.
Weird episodes where I was going through I mean, we have like a little Google Doc where we put down
Mhm.
topics and I put each team that's at a tournament, and there were times where I left Paris blank because I didn't know what to talk about. It's like they just they're
I
gonna
think too,
struggle
it's a
again.
thing. I think it's the same thing with New York. Winning New York, it's important going into the postseason with a all right, we can do this.
That
Right? Like
that
that's the big
validation.
thing. Like I think it's a little sketch that like New York didn't do better at London or this past event. But the fact is they won one and they know they can carry it. Like New York's a team people aren't going to want to match up with in the postseason because they know if their individual players go off, they're
They
probably
can
gonna
do it.
lose,
Yeah,
right? Like they could lose. Like
Yeah.
that team
True.
can beat
they have
anybody.
enough talent, and I think for New York it was all right, we can grind out a series and win, and we can win a whole event like that. I think that was really important. I think it's going over to Paris' side of all right, like we can beat some of the best teams in the world. Like we
Yeah,
we can do this. Like we can go on a run. So I think taking that confidence when you have it, like we're talking end of July here. You know, we're three weeks out of the postseason, 4 weeks out, whatever it is. That's an important time. You want to be on an upward trend.
yeah.
You got to establish a confidence. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's definitely a good one for Legion. I guess we have to transition. We talked about S&D a little bit. I guess we transitioned to Ravens.
Mm.
It's tough to. They obviously have. They're showing a lot of promise, right? But the way that they lost is just like heartbreaking. You wouldn't assume that they would have lost in the way that they did to Paris in a semi. I know it was like their own tournament too, so it's like I feel like there's maybe a little something extra there. Maybe that's just BS, but
I feel like online, I don't know.
yeah, online it's a little bit different.
It's not the same.
But
It'd be cool to win your own tournament, like with New York, but
All I could think about was if we were in London, like that reverse sweep over
that
Mutineers,
would
that
have been
place would have
insane.
been fucking
oh yeah,
insane.
that'd
That
have been
place would have
wild.
been fucking insane.
Yeah,
But I think both their I think in the semis, both their searches, they lost round 11, right? I'm almost positive, unless like I looked at the stat log. I remember the game 5 was, but I'm pretty sure the game 2 was too. So that's just
brutal.
Yeah, it's like it's like the one that haunts you at night. Like if we had one
Didn't they
little round
blow?
different,
Didn't they
one little
blow
play.
one? Didn't they blow a big one?
Like
They
a
were up
surge that they
5-2
were
on
up a lot.
Arclov 5-2.
I don't remember.
I think they blew a big lead too. I will double check, but I'm pretty sure they blew 4 rounds in a row. I think it's the opposite to what I talked about when you talk about London. I like this team a lot. We are seeing some better performances out of them, but the question still comes like when it's crunch time. We talk about closers. Not sure if they can close right now. And they still don't have that. Obviously, they have the big win over Florida. I think if game 3 Petro happens again where Florida has a 40-point lead and you do that 5 times over, I'm not sure if that happens again. I'm really not. So I'll give them that match. It's a big match over a good team. But I wanted to see like them versus Dallas in the final and how did they perform versus them. And the fact that they couldn't beat Paris to get there, it's like still middle of the pack, like still just not there. Not enough for me to like convince me they can go on and win.
Yeah, it's like how many chances do you get? And
right,
that's one of the easier chances that they're going to get versus at the time a bottom team. Like I don't know. I was so high on this team at the start, and then it's just like it's tough to have faith moving forward when it's like I know they're right there. I know anything can sort of happen. They do have the big win over Florida, like you said, but at this point, you just can't think they're going to have a lot of. I know they're going to say it anyways, but you can't be having a lot of confidence when you're going against a top team. They just haven't been able to put any clutch together.
No,
and you think when you talk about like a heavier AR meta too, right? Like London should have been one of the teams that benefits maybe the most when you look at rosters top to bottom.
Probably.
You'd think.
I think we saw like bits and pieces of it. I mean, Scraps has been really solid. I think Shawnee with an M4 is better with an MP5. Like it's weird because New York, we were talking about 3 to 4, the New York competition. Now this with 10 millimeter back in, right, Chris? Making sure I'm right. 10 millimeter. Okay, so it was like 2 to 3 now.
Yeah.
So it's like it should help them. You're right. Yeah. So I think it gives them a little bit more oomph, a little bit more like slaying power.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't really help for SD.
Yeah.
That doesn't really change much.
Yeah, so they were up 4-1 and then 4-2 and then they're up 5-3.
5-3.
They lost 3 straight rounds.
Arklov
in game 2. Yeah.
Yeesh. That's a rough one. And then oh wow. That's a really, really bad way to lose. So
sure is.
Okay. So Paris clutches up. Ravens just kind of stuck in the middle of the pack. Like they could easily set some of the top teams. Surge, okay, I don't even know what to say about them at this point. Like there's just like a lot more drama happening afterwards when they lose. Circumstances,
it's every event. It sucks for them, man. There's like something every event, but it's like,
and they're already in a spot where they're like all the roster changes. Then they're dealing with like the in-game issues too.
I was gonna say it just sucks, yeah, because like they're struggling, and then like
it's like like rubbing salt in the wound.
That can go wrong to make them struggle more is like it's not even helping. It's like unfair to them. I feel bad.
That situation, like I don't know if we want to touch on it. Like it's
we should bring it up.
I mean, if you want to, like, I don't want to dive into it a lot. I'm not the league ops expert, but if you trust Adam Apicella, who has been in esports longer than most human beings, and has a super talented team behind him, and league ops have been doing this forever. It's been that way. That has been a rule online for a long time, whether it came to DDoSing or internet issues. Just read his tweets. There's a reason it's like that, and a reason the can of worms it opens is very scary, and why it's not a judgment call. What I wanted was a replay, personally, because I would have liked to see it, and it just seemed to be like common sense. But the other side of it, if you read his concerns and read his tweets, there's a reason they would have made the same exact call. But it's just like, I guess the reason I'm frustrated by it all is I kept seeing a lot of people say, and Chris, we talked about this before the podcast, but a lot of people would say like, Why do we just have judgment calls like regular sports? Judgment calls suck ass. What is complained about more in regular sports than the refs and calls? That is the single biggest fucking thing that's complained about. It sucks. And the fact that we have a video game, we shouldn't ever have to have that. It's an electronic game. We shouldn't have to have human judgment come into it. And we do right now for certain things in a way. And it's just, we shouldn't though. Like, I guess I'm upset because if it's been, I know that when Infinity War was getting ready for stuff and they had the pause feature for LAN, like no one saw COVID coming, and I understand it came out of nowhere, and it threw a lot of stuff off. But now it's been months and months, and Champs is going to be online. Like we should have a pause feature or a way if something like this happens that you can have custom game settings where you can create or replicate that exact situation they were in, or like something like it's just we need support from IW, so this is an issue. Like I felt bad for the league getting blasted. I felt bad for the players having to deal with that. I felt bad for everyone involved because you just shouldn't be dealing with it. And I feel like I can say that about a lot of stuff right now. It's just I wish we had more support for certain things because it would solve a lot of problems and not put everyone in shitty fucking situations. And maybe somehow before Champs that'll be true, but
it's pathetic we don't have features like that. It's absolutely pathetic. How long have we all been asking for it? They have it. They literally built it for LAN, and you're gonna act like it's not as important for online private matches when there's like tournaments going on.
And I don't know if it's
so
like
ridiculous.
I don't know if it's like a tech thing or something, or
I
don't know if the CDL hasn't requested it, or I mean, for all I know, I just don't know what the communication's like between them because Joe and I don't like work with that at all anymore. And I don't know if it wasn't even requested or if it needs to be requested or if they just didn't have time to work on it. I don't know what the case may be, but like, and that just goes into all the other stuff too with like servers and like the fact that I'm sick of seeing fucking people bitch about having 30% packet loss and having to choose between that or 120 ping. Like, why is that a thing? Like, how do we not have more servers? And like, I would get it. I understood it right as COVID happened and we went online, but now that it's been months and months and months, like, just help us, please, God help us, because I'm just sick of some issue every fucking weekend.
I think something of the sort. Well, to the ruling thing that you said, like I understand, like like it opens a can of worms and all that. I feel like a lot of just bottles down to not having the pause feature, not having the features that we need. Like, I just think for Champs, with how much money is on the line. Like currently what we're playing, obviously, like a lot of players like understand that like they're super grateful to be in the spot that they're in right now with like everything going on. The world's crazy, 100%. But like, I just feel like so much more can be done for Champs that like it's almost unacceptable to like go on with like no player should be going, say if you're in the finals of Champs, like if Optic was, and they have to pick between 30% packet loss or 100 plus ping. Again, like you already lost. Like I've said, like obviously online to online's like pretty similar. Like don't bitch about online.
Yeah, but now with
packet loss in 100 ping, like that is a way different.
Chance.
Yeah, you don't even have a chance. So it's just like at that level, right? If you're playing against someone so good, you need the fairest you can get. It's just like I feel like it's like unacceptable for a player to walk into a final like that. If and that's obviously very possible. Like I've had players on my team that have had packet loss during matches. Like
Clay literally said they won, and he's like, "Well, that was dumb." Like,
no one really talked about it, but most likely the way the server vetoes work, they probably played on a central server there against Paris.
Yeah,
Paris had no chance before they even walked in.
They did. He tweeted they played on Dallas. Yeah,
he played on Dallas. Dallas played on a Dallas server.
That's what I mean. Like that's just not even fair.
Should be a Colorado or a Nevada.
Yeah,
whatever.
There has
I don't know.
There's got to be a middle ground.
That has to happen for Champs.
Like average the pings and you pick that one.
Because right now it has to have a better system. Because obviously, like some teams are spread out. It's just like I just feel once again, if that's Champs finals with how much money you're playing for, and you're walking in playing that match could have probably went the same way on LAN. Most likely, I think it would have. But like the fact that you don't even have a chance, like it's just not fair. I feel like it has to just be better in some way. Add more servers or something of the sort. But like you can't. That just shouldn't be playable.
Well, even like the performance of servers, right? I mean, this even goes to like, is this a larger issue at hand? And maybe that's just what it comes down to, right? Because I think that could be a big part of it. Like, you know, we play a lot of Warzone at night, 200 quads.
Yeah,
there was a lot of bad servers. There was.
Yeah.
Then I start to question because Kenny, I think, tweeted
Yeah.
Friday we played Florida on the same server. I had no packet loss. We played Saturday. There's 30% packet loss. So what do I have to do? I have to switch off that and play on 100 ping. In Optic, they went game 5 Friday night, right? Versus Florida. And I would imagine that probably helped them. So like what happened to that server overnight? To me, what's the difference? I mean, Friday population for Call of Duty is probably high, but Saturday's probably the highest day, right? So now we're getting into a bigger thing. Okay, is this now what servers are we grabbing? Are these actually private? Like, I don't know. I don't know the question. There's a reason these situations just suck for everybody. Because I feel for the league ops side, because I used to work in league ops. It feels like everything you do is like an L, like a loss, like everything that like is going well for you, most people don't pay attention to, right? It's a very stressful position because as soon as something goes wrong, it's like the whole world's burning down around you. So that sucks. And then from the players, because I was a player and I hate online Call of Duty, I couldn't imagine playing for this amount of money in this amount of situation with what they're dealing with. And then it's like for the league, it's like I would hope, like I would really hope they're having weekly meetings with IW. We used to have like weekly meetings with the studio. I don't know. We don't work there in the trenches like that anymore. The communication could be different just simply because of how well Warzone's doing. I really have no clue, but there's a lot of stuff we don't know. But the fact that there isn't a pause feature, more servers. I mean, I'm going to analyst Parasite to try to figure out spawn still. So listen, there's a lot of things. It's just a giant old question mark right now, dude.
Bro, I watched that one back, the second spawn for Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
I must have watched it 50 times. Like I started to like I sort of get the quadrants, like how some of the spawns, like even I guess I've gotten to the point now, and like Chris, well, you got it early, but like a lot of the spawns, they make sense within this title. Like the ones that look really bad, a lot of times, yes, they make MW sense. A lot of the ones that were like, what the hell? We're saying what the hell because of previous experience with previous titles, and the spawn sucks ass. But within the logic of the game, they make sense. It's just we still get surprised sometimes because on the minimap it just looks so stupid. But like that one was holy shit. I couldn't like I must have thought about it for an hour and a half, and like I was trying to think of any way that the game system itself could have justified that spawn, and I couldn't. I only had one theory, which we don't need to get into, and even that theory didn't make sense. But yeah, it's just whatever.
Well, and a lot of the problem is there's just like not spawns in those locations. Like what we always talk about, like on Hackney, that bottom right, like parking lot outside of Tire Shop, there's just not a spawn there. So what happens when you're in that sort of like you're pushing top green and you're pushing like over the wall towards the fires, you spawn all the way down here, right? Front yell. There's just not a bottom right spawn. Like, why isn't there a bottom right spawn?
Optic's one player live for that one was its smokestack.
Yeah, I know. But there's not a spawn there. There's zero. That's what I'm saying. That's not a spawn. It's the same thing with Gunrunner. I complained on it on broadcast, and some of the players are like, well, it's a spawn because there's zero spawns on the last hill. And I'm like, but there just shouldn't be zero spawns. That's not a thing. Like there should be spawns there until there's pressure at the front of the hill or in the hill. And then those people should spawn out. That is the way it should work. I don't get it.
Yep.
I don't understand. It is not difficult. It isn't.
It's ridiculous. We could sit there and watch a VOD and watch the minimap, and probably, obviously, it's from our POV, but you could like point at areas of the map where someone gets a kill. It's like that guy should spawn there, and it just doesn't. It doesn't apply.
But I've gotten to the point. I've gotten to the point for the most part where like
Yeah, you
it's
got the
hard not
system down.
it's hard not
Got
to
the system
react to it
down.
on broadcast because it still catches me off
Yeah.
guard sometimes. But like
Yeah, there's a system.
once I like
Should we
watch it
pause
back,
0.5
Yeah.
speed. You're like, oh yeah, quadrant
Yeah.
7. Yeah, absolutely.
yes, once I watch it back, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that
Quadrant
made sense. But some of them still, I think it's mostly Dom, and there's like something weird that happens because it's mostly Dom where I'm like, that made zero fucking sense. Nothing
there's some
in
hard
the
ones
world
too, but
can explain that. I guess I think it happens more in Dom where I'm like,
No, you're right, it
literally
does.
It
just
happens more in
mind
Dom, but
blown.
there's some ones in
no,
Hardpoint
100%.
that-
It happens more in Dom, but well, plus there's just more spawns in Hardpoint, but
And just like the weird variations with how neutraling works in Dom too. I'm sure like there's so many different
That's
variables.
spawns, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I don't know what happened because I always bring it up. We literally changed the spawns for Infinite Warfare. I think
Yep.
Eric texted me. He's making a video like about like how I don't know exactly the video, but like I just we drew it on a map. We just like if there's people here, this is I don't know.
We made a lot of documents.
I did
I
that.
think, and that goes back to that like conversation of I hope eventually that kind of happens. And I thought we were getting close to that point. Now I don't know, but where there's like a dev side esports team that's going dev to dev to dev, and there is a pro player, former pro player on it. Like when I had Eric to do it, and that job sucks ass. Just so you know, Eric was stressed out all the fucking time, but they need that. And I thought we were getting closer to it, but I don't know. But that would
Eric's gone. I'm gone. I don't know who's there. Then what's the option? You bring players in. I mean, it should have gotten to the point where the conversation was around every time we came back to the studio. We know how it sort of works, right? Like we've had these conversations with devs before. They know what to look for. Players can send in clips. I think that's what happened a lot last year with Black Ops 4. It did. It happened a lot. But what happened? There was a lot of new regime this year at IW. That's just what it was, plain and simple. So there was a new regime, and they don't care, or they care a lot less. So that's it.
Absolutely.
All right, where were we?
2021.
Let's see. We spiraled from that. Yeah. How many more weeks do we have of this?
4.
We spiraled.
If I could fall asleep and wake up in like November, I would. I 100% would just lay the fuck down in bed and wake up in 4 months.
Hybrid.
I don't want this. Like, I am really.
That was about the Surge thing. We came from the Surge thing,
right?
I'm excited for the year to finish out. It's just like, I'm really more excited for some things I've heard for the future.
Well, and again, we had the pause feature for LAN. At the end of the day, they didn't expect COVID to happen. There wasn't an online pause feature. I don't know how difficult it is to get it online. Hopefully, we have it for champs. And hopefully then what this says is we got to put up a red flag, because hopefully for next year, just in case COVID-20 happens or whatever, there's a pause feature for online, right? Because now we have to have that emergency blanket.
True. And one thing too, like I think most of us, if you were involved with the CDL year one, people remember it fondly, but it was a fucking nightmare. Like, and that was with
TWL.
Yeah, and it was a fucking nightmare even with Treyarch. Just all the different issues and having a new league. So I think most of us knew this year was going to be difficult, even if everything was on land, even if there was no COVID. Like, it is the inaugural year. It was going to have hiccup after hiccup after issue after issue, and you have growing pains. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to say I'm not glad that everything kind of went wrong in certain capacities, but it's like part of me is like, let's get it out of the fucking way. Let's get it out of the fucking way, and let's move on, and things are just going to get better and better, which I really think they will be. But yeah, just gotta get through what's left.
It's got to get better. Okay,
no, you're right. It does.
It has to. Surge, we spiraled, and let's bring it back in with the new Optic roster. I'm gonna throw the bracket. We'll throw out the bracket real quick.
Unfortunate, they ran into Florida twice. Right?
Florida twice.
I think,
I
think they play London. It's probably they have a good shot of getting out, and like it's probably 50-50 because London played well that weekend. But you played Florida twice, brand new roster. You went to a game 5, round 11. I'd be happy about it. The reason they just probably aren't happy about it is because Paris went on to a final, because so the pressure's on them. Like, if Paris gets knocked out, Optic have that result, you're just kind of like, we lost to Paris twice, a top 4 team in the world, and we went to a game 5. But the fact that Paris now won 3 games, the pressure is now on for Optic.
Definitely. But did I see enough from them where I thought they're like going to completely be able to compete against some of the top dogs? That's what I'm stuck on. Again, it's just not a lot of gameplay to go off of. So it's like I want to make a better call and like take a firm stand on it, but it's like they look good, but
no. I saw enough to think they were better, but like I think what's holding me back is that Florida didn't look as good as they have.
Right.
I think if Florida,
that's a good point.
If Florida came out, let's say, smoked everybody else in a close games with Optic and won the whole thing, I think I'd be more convinced. But I guess at this particular tournament, playing Florida tough doesn't mean as much. It just doesn't.
It's true. Yeah,
that's fair. I wonder why. I wonder what happened.
See, I actually, and that's another thing we can talk about. I am not really all that worried about Mutineers. I personally think this mostly just came down to having some young players, maybe immature players, whatever you want to point at, and you dominate all of June. You're restoring everyone. You're on top of your game. You won multiple tournaments. You took the foot off the gas a little bit, and then everything going on with the meta and not getting enough practice in. I think they're going to bounce back and still be very, very, very good. I view it as kind of a hiccup. I do. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm not like, if I'm a Florida fan, I'm not super worried.
I mean, they won 2 events for 2-3 weeks ago. I don't really think like you lost to a good team. Like you got 3'd by a very hot Dallas team, right? Like if you're gonna lose to anyone, it better be in that fashion. Should be a top 4 team, and that's what happened, right? I mean, it's the same thing with Chicago losing to Dallas at times, Atlanta losing to Florida at times, right? Like it's just those top 4 teams. It's gonna come down to who's having a better game, who's hotter. And this time it was Dallas.
They look really, really good. All right, we touched on Legion, we touched on Empire already. Empire looked damn good, but again, just kind of like a weakish looking Mutineers, which is weird to see. New York, so we've talked about it on this show before, where when you have back-to-back weekends, right? That's like the ultimate advantage. I don't know if you want to call it that, but like coming off of a win, you want to play the next weekend. So the fact that we saw New York come into this one and like their losses were tough. Like it's not like they get 3-0'd. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like how often do you see a team coming off of a hot weekend, the best that we've probably ever seen this iteration of the roster play, come in and they got what, double 3-0'd?
Well, Chris, how significant was the
meta change? Yeah,
like going from I know the change to the New York event was really drastic. Obviously, how drastic was it back? Because we still saw like 3 ARs a good amount. Like it, how big of a difference was it? Like I guess it wasn't as drastic as going into New York, right? Like going back from that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it was definitely the New York one was crazy because that happened like literally the day before. And it just kind of went to shit, and everyone had to figure everything out. But like, no, it wasn't that drastic because 10 mil got put back in, and like that didn't change much. I think it's like way more like settled now, and it was like before that too.
So is it just a matter of things like normalize, or things just kind of went back to what they were before? If we saw this result from New York, previous to their win, would we give note to it? You guys get what I'm trying to say? It's like, did that volatility create enough for them to just like take it by storm and dominate the New York event? Or
I agree. I think it's not good at all that they didn't even get to like a semi and lose to like a Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good showing. I guess I just put stock in the fact that they won an event as, like I said, like a confidence booster for them moving forward.
Now they know they can do it. Like, period.
Yeah, then they know they can do it. But yes, I would be worried. I think it is worrisome a bit that they didn't get to at least top 4. 100%. It's not a good look at all.
Yeah.
I think if anything, that shows just like how 50-50 day to day that these guys can be, which is not what you want to be come champs time. Like you have to be consistent, especially when we're talking about champs being over 2 weekends, right?
And like this is where you solidify yourself. Like, I'm happy for Paris. They stuck it out, but like New York, for what New York showed us, to get in an elimination match to lose 3-0 to Paris, it's just like, what the hell happened? It's just unacceptable. Like,
agreed.
I don't know. It's tough to have a good gauge on a team, but it's like it feels just like a coin flip. Was it a server thing?
Yeah.
Was it an individual just not performing as well? Was it really the meta? Like, it didn't seem like it would have shifted that much.
I just don't know, but like Zuma was the guy we talked about the most at the previous event, that he was one of the few subs excelling, right? Like him and Abizi were like the main two.
Yeah.
You had to play it more like a sub. You couldn't challenge everything. And I'm wondering if the shift back kind of went closer to what I'm guessing what we're at now is kind of in between the two. What we had a month ago and what we had for the 1 weekend's like kind of in between the two.
Yeah.
But Zuma didn't have like a great event after having a really good one. And I wonder if it was just an off weekend, or if he was just a lot better when it was like, for whatever reason, when it was like more AR heavy, he was more comfortable just playing that finesse game. I don't know. It's just weird, because you would think logically that if we went back towards like 10 millimeter, that it would kind of benefit subs, but he was better when it was harder. I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
No, I mean it makes sense though, because when it's harder to be a sub, you're forced to play smarter, no matter, or you can just go 2-30 every map. You know what I mean? You have to play smarter. So it's like those players like exist that are very, very good at like finessing their corners and like playing their life, where then you have players that are very, very aggressive and they ego challenge everything. But like you can't do that obviously with the old meta. So that's definitely a playstyle thing. That's not that crazy to say.
And maybe that's what it is. Just like because I think it's been hard for everybody, even the minor changes, like whatever position you're at, just all this shifting back and forth. It's got to be tough, man. It's got to be real tough.
I hate it. I hate that all this GA stuff happened at this time. Oh, that's so stupid.
I like where we finished.
Yeah.
I do enjoy this meta more. First of all, it is way more enjoyable watching this game without Merk foregrip. I also enjoy, like, you can just tell, like, dude, Merk foregrip accidental 2 pieces, it was insane. And I don't know if it's because just we saw so much MP5 that I'm just enjoying seeing the switch up to the M4 a little bit more. But I can't lie, like these last couple of weekends, like watching gameplay, I've been like, I'm into it a little bit more. And maybe it is just because it's just subtle changes, but like, I don't know. Just watching MP5, just everyone taking fights across the map, headies. I'm just like, dude, what? Like, what are we watching? Like, this is insane. Yeah. So I've been enjoying it more.
I've enjoyed watching more too. I feel like I can just pay attention to the respawns more. There seems to like just be more of a storyline. You're totally right. Like, more positioning,
slow down,
more thought to it. You have to coordinate your pushes a little bit more, and it's not just some guy trying to go nuts hitting a hip fire headshot. Like, all right, I don't know. I enjoyed my time watching the matches for sure.
Yeah, I saw some players complaining even 2 weekends ago that it slowed down so much and it wasn't as fun to watch, but. Yeah, I kind of found it just easier to digest and watch. Yeah. Like that's a problem with 5v5, and when the pace is really fast or like jetpack, it's just it's hard sometimes.
I'll keep saying
like,
it.
Our observers do a great job, but it's tough sometimes, man.
Like, do people want to see like 70, 80 gunfights in 5v5? Like, that's a lot. Like, you can't even.
Well, the players might. Some players might enjoy that.
I'm just saying, like, viewership perspective though. It's like you can't even follow all of that. Like, some guy goes on a 3 kill streak, you're like, oh, that was cool, and then you don't care anymore.
Get me to 4v4.
I feel like we've seen. I've seen like we've seen more consistent kill streaks, and that's fun to watch too. I'm speaking just purely viewership perspective. I feel like we've seen individuals getting to like 10 or I guess like 12, 13, 14, 15 kill streaks like somewhat more often. You guys probably know because you like are casting, you're like kind of watching that stuff more, but just more streaky because the game's slowing down a little bit.
You're right.
It's fun that you can hype it, but I miss when it meant something.
I mean, I think it does mean so. 15 kill streak in a dom.
No. Sorry, I meant like
what do you mean?
The scheme of the game and the fact you're getting streaks. Like the fact you have streaks in this game, like it used to be one of the more consistent talking points of the course of a cast is like earning streaks when you're going to use them, and like
you're right. It's utility.
I I miss streaks. Like now, it is fun to hype up. It totally is, and I'll get into it when they're going on double digit. But I don't know. Streaks are fun.
It was tense when they were in BO4 when they're 25 away and they're playing for it, and it's scrappy, and they're like, "Oh no, you're gonna get the streaks," and they get it. It's like, "Oh shit." I agree with that. So we covered subliners. Subliners just pissed me off. I wanted to see them make another semi. To be honest, I want to like. They've shown so much potential. Their talent is so scary, and then they just like kind of throw up a dud. I don't know. It's like makes things so difficult to talk about. And then Gorillas, they went.
It's just a bad, not good. Two events in a row, and they're done, right? So that's the other thing is like their last 2 home series when they finally are looking better, they get 0-2'd. They went 0-4 2 weekends in a row. They went 1-6 at New York. They went 1-6 at London.
That's good. That's good momentum going in.
It's interesting too.
Right after when Yanea sent me.
And I'm wondering if Chris can maybe speak to this because FaZe is probably the only team, or like back to Joe's point, like we've touched on the fact that S&D seems to be kind of the most controllable mode right now with how respawns play out. And with that being said, the only stretch where I can think a team was consistently good in search was maybe like Empire FaZe at the beginning of the year. Since then, whenever a team like pops up is really good in search, like Gorillas, it's like they have an event or two and they can't keep it rolling. And maybe it's just research and people watching VODs, but
I think it's research.
There hasn't really been, correct me if I'm wrong, but any team that's just been like a good search team all year. Like FaZe would be the closest to it. Yeah, they'd be the closest to it, but even them as of late,
I mean, they're at like 70% there. Like, that's
but
that's really good.
A lot of that's from the beginning of the year. That's what I'm saying. A lot of that, like first month of the year, they lost 2 maps, dude. Over the course, they lost 2 maps in the first like couple months. They have not been in that form as of late, where they're just winning most of their search and destroys. And I guess all I'm trying to say is, it's seeing that we think it's the most controllable mode in this particular title, that I don't know. It feels like almost everyone's been kind of up and down in search. Like no one's just.
Sounds about right. I mean, online environment in this game, it's like, what would you consider a good percentage win rate for online? High 60s, even that, like
high 60, 70. Yeah.
That means you're still losing a considerable amount of maps on a given mode. So it's like, it's tough to say, but yeah, that was like their one thing that they had a clear cut advantage, and I bet. All these people, there's legit staffs going over this data. Like Joe, you just pulled it up. It was like 70%. Who are you watching? Mm-hmm. You're watching them. Oh, what do they do? Oh, that guy. They have probably like a certain percentage of strategies that were doing really well for them. And you have these coaching staffs that should be just scouring these VODs, like be like, okay, we know how to pick this apart. So it's like over time, you would think the good teams, the high win percentage teams, you would think that like it would go down over time because they're the ones being focused as much when you're going over VODs. I didn't like Crowder. Feel free to. I mean, you don't need to tell me what you did, but like I'm watching the highest win rate teams play S&D on specific maps. Oh, this team's 9-1 on Hacienda and BO4. Yeah. Oh, I'm watching that over a team that's 5-5.
I mean, I can tell you,
obvious.
even like, when we were on 100 Thieves, when we went on that incredible hardpoint run, like. People just watched how we played Arsenal and Hacienda Hardpoint.
I sure did.
It's like, and that's how you got better. Yeah. But like, that's just what you have to do. Like everyone, like you have to know, like you kind of take what they do, and then you add your own spice to it, but to make it better. Yeah. And like you keep innovating strategy and how you want to play this hill and that hill and stuff. Like, yeah, of course. I feel like that's how anyone gets better. That's like the biggest thing.
So that's probably why like their respawn was never good. Okay, and then. Their S&D, they're probably just having a harder time. You combine that all up, and it's like maybe you would think maybe they're be able to improve their respawn.
It's just weird that they were like, dude, we're talking a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
where like we knew they were winning search. Like they were so far ahead of people. We were saying they seemed so good at it. They were smoking everyone. They seemed like a locked in search. Now they've won like one of their last 5. Like I just don't, or one of the last 4. I guess I'm just surprised. I don't know.
I want to see. I need to dive into the stats a little bit more too.
Vetoes. Could be vetoes.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe there was like an outlier map or two with that was carrying their stats. get rid of that, and they go back to like a middle of the pack map for them.
Well, it'd be like a big story coming up for Toronto, right? We talked a lot about Huntsman search and how much better it looked in New York. Okay, we're talking about that on broadcast. Other people are listening to us, right?
Yeah.
Like, that people are going to prep for them. Is Chicago going to continue to innovate at Toronto, right? Like that'll be a big discussion. Because I mean, really, you look at Toronto, and then maybe if you have, you can do some online search scrims, but Toronto is going to be like your stress test for if you have a lot of new strategies. Like, that's where you might pull some things out just to do it. So be a fun weekend.
We covered.
It's everybody.
You guys want to talk more about the online issues?
No,
I think we covered basically all of it. Yeah.
IW, please help. Please. SOS.
So we talked like the tiebreaker scenarios for the points, which teams actually have a chance to make some magic happen in terms of increasing their spot for seeding wise. Toronto, let's hop in. I'm throwing up the groups. Bang. Group A, Chicago, Seattle, Toronto, OGLA. That's an easy group for Chicago. Group B, Atlanta, Minnesota. Oh, Florida, Dallas. Yeah.
It's a semifinal. It could be a top 4 semifinal.
That is a semifinal. Wow. That's a spicy one. That's the gauntlet. Oh, baby. I'm excited for this one. I'll be honest, I couldn't care less about Group A.
Well, I guess I care about
like
it
the
because
storyline is A, but B has the good matches.
Yeah, everything's about Ultra and Optic for the most part. If you're just thinking about champs like that, I guess that's why I find A interesting. But oh yeah, B is just sick.
Well, it's like, is Rocker gonna do anything in this group? You got to say probably not.
That's the real question.
They lost the magic.
We just saw the New York run. We just saw the Legion run. At this point, I don't fucking know. And anything's possible. Rockers win the whole
they've
event.
had like consistent. Well, it's been like 3 events though, right? Like it's not just been like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Well, we're Legion,
talking
that's
3
Legion.
Events.
Legion was like.
I mean, I guess you're. Well, we're talking
events.
4 events now. Wow, that's actually wild. It's been 4 in a row now.
Yeah, they're. You know how we talk about like, for the most part. For the most part, online and LAN results are pretty close, but there's usually an outlier. Like I feel like they've kind of been that outlier. They've been.
Yeah, it's just like the discussion
what it is.
Point of was it really LAN or were they that far ahead? Right, like that's where that discussion.
It's true, and it could be that as well. Could be that as well, but like they're the one that
you're right.
As soon as it went online, like they've just struggled.
Good point. Shall we go into predictions?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
What's the latest update on that? What is actually? I'm gonna see. Where are we at?
Well, I know. I don't even know if everyone got their picks in last week because we did an episode.
I put my picks in. Did you guys put?
We all got smoked.
I think it was the worst weekend we've had. It was the worst weekend we've had.
Yeah, I
went 2 and 5.
I picked Dallas to win, so I got that. But the group
went 2 and 5. Chris went 2 and 5. TeeP went 3 and 5.
Yeah,
it was bad. It was a bad. Yeah.
I think
Chris is tied with you now, Clint.
Ooh.
Let's go, big Chris. Wait, how do you time me if we both went 2 and 5? It must have been the tournament before.
I think so.
Must have.
I think so. Yeah.
Fuck you, Chris.
So I made up 1 point. Finally, dude. God damn. At least I got the winner. But yeah, what I was gonna say for our predictions, it's like Paris just kind of made all that, like kind of messed all that up, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Paris messed it up in Florida. Yeah. Florida getting smoked.
Okay.
I know an Optic.
Oh yeah,
facing Florida twice. Screw Clint and I think Chris too, because I think we all 3 of us picked Optic to get out of that group.
Oh yeah.
And I'm doing it again.
How you did? All right. Who's gonna start us off this time? Crowder, go.
For what?
Predictions for group, just groups in general.
All right, so for Group A, I think Huntsman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Toronto looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go with Toronto. So I think it's going to be Huntsman, Toronto. It will be close though with LA.
Huntsman, Toronto.
I'm definitely not taking Surge at the moment. We'll see.
B.
And then for my group, I'm going my team and Dallas.
Yep. Overall winner.
I mean, I'm going with my team for
Yeah,
that.
he's going face.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I
Yeah.
like it. Okay. Great picks. Baldy, go.
I'll go Huntsman Optic. The pressure's on Optic. We'll see if they can do it, and hopefully don't have 120 ping.
Yo, they got Toronto Bell.
Yep.
Hashtag Ed.
Yep.
They are
Bell, baby.
fried.
I'll go FaZe Empire, and I just for some reason I want to go Mutineers because I really do think they're gonna bounce
Ooh.
back. I really, really do think they're gonna bounce back. But it's I have to go
They're
Empire. They
so
spent
good,
12.
bro.
They spent 12-1 in map count. Like it's the weekend after.
I mean, it's more of less of I think Dallas and probably Florida or Atlanta. I mean, based on like recent results,
Fair enough.
right?
I have
Right.
to
I
go
mean,
Empire. I have to go
yeah.
Empire. I have to. Like that. They just cruise through that, man.
Yep. Joey.
I'm gonna go. All right, Chris. Let me ask you a question. All right,
What's up?
you're
Always in the intel.
Chicago, Toronto. We're going
Mhm.
server vetoes. Toronto's gonna veto West.
Would they
West
have
Coast?
a West? I don't know what their
Is
servers
there a
would be.
California server?
There is a West server, but it might not be in there. Like it
Why
might
wouldn't
be
it
like
be in there?
because they might get like a Central East and Central South. Like so that's only 3 servers. There wouldn't.
Yeah,
even be
they're
one
playing on the Alaskan servers. For that one.
So then what? It would be like a East Coast, a Chicago, and a Texas.
probably. If I could guess.
So we're playing on Chicago, and Chicago's sheesh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, brother, oh brother. Hashtag ad Bell
Bell.
Internet. Gosh, bro. I'm going with passion, bro. Dude, I gotta go. Optic's gonna fight for top 8. It's passion. So I'm gonna go Optic. I'm going Chicago. And then I am also going Atlanta, Dallas in Group B. And then my overall winner. I was very impressed with Dallas. So I'm going with Dallas again. I was very impressed.
It's hard not.
Who'd you
to.
pick to win, Clint?
Dallas. It's just, dude. They literally shit on
They look
everyone.
good.
Like,
Yeah. They look good.
Well, the only
really
thing was is Atlanta and Chicago weren't there, right? I mean, that's the
That's
only
true.
thing.
That's
Like, so
Yeah.
But what
Well, and that's-
Chicago?
that-
they beat FaZe, but then what?
Na-
It smoked 3-0 by New York. And I'm just like, well, what the heck was that? Like,
an Empire's tournament is really not nearly as impressive, considering Mutineers look as shitty as they did, or as well, maybe not shitty, but that
Shitty
that
to
much
their
worse,
standards,
yes, to
obviously.
their standards. So like, but I still, you know what? I'm changing my pick. I'm going FaZe.
FaZe don't win it.
What's going on over there?
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
There's a doggy.
Hi.
I'm sticking with Dallas.
Are you changing, Clint?
Oh my God.
He's getting attacked.
He's changing his final to his champion to FaZe.
Champion to FaZe.
What's Copper's picks?
Yeah, what's Copper pick?
Who do you pick? Who do you pick? Who do you pick, buddy? Oh.
He picks me. I'm the champion.
Yep. Okay.
Wait, did I change?
You
I've
change
changed
it?
the phase.
Final
changed
answer?
the phase.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Lock it in.
Final answer. Why? I don't fucking know.
Cool. I'm going Chicago, Toronto. I'm going.
Bad boy.
Oh, you're picking Toronto.
Yep. Toronto for second pick, and then I'm going FaZe Dallas. Overall winner Huntsman.
Hello, Kevin. Your overall winner, Huntsman?
Yep.
Somebody wants some followers, bro.
Yep.
I'm saying.
Drop a follow. Gotta make them happy. Man
No,
of the
no.
people.
I think that's a solid pick. I think
Yeah, no, that's not a
I
bad
think there are a
pick.
lot of teams you pick for this event. To be honest with you.
This might sound really weird, but I feel like for how good Empire looked, like Huntsman's one of those teams that will just make the game weird for them. Like I feel like when like Dallas plays such a structured style, and I feel like Huntsman is just like ego chow, like try and outslay. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to be more structured than what we've seen from Huntsman recently, but I don't know. I just got a good feeling about them for some reason.
I thought 3 ARs helped Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's what
they look good.
Mostly boils down to. Like as soon as that switch happened, I'm like, okay, they just have to be.
But
they have to be
the only
right
map
there.
to run in 3 now is Cave, right? Is that really it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the rest
you're
are
getting
2.
Pristini back with MP5.
Yeah,
I liked Pristini on third M4. I did.
I
thought it helped him. So now I'm like,
kind of reeled him back in.
I'm
right?
sure he'll be great. Yeah, reel him back in a little bit. My only concern, yeah.
But yeah, it's Huntsman S&D.
It's a good one.
It's Huntsman S&D. It's been a coin flip throughout like the events. So like, if they have a positive win rate in S&D, I think they're gonna win. If they don't, they're gonna look average as hell. That's just kind of the trend. Okay, predictions done. Clint, you want to switch up again? Or are you good now? You all focused up there, buddy?
Hi.
He's a samurai.
Dude, all I can think about is just I need to go do some goddamn quests, man.
Clint,
I've got so many question marks
Clint,
on my map to do.
I have a request. You have to do a sub count goal and you have to cosplay as a samurai.
I should have. Everyone wanted me to get a straw hat like that. There's a lot of them in the game, and then they told me I needed to get a straw hat for it.
I think it would just look so funny because you're fucking huge, and you just as a samurai would be funny.
I'd look awesome. I'd be a beast. Can we play? Can we play Warzone together on Thursday?
Yes, I want to play with you guys. I'll be on.
I haven't played in a while. I'm gonna be horrible, but I will love you guys.
I won't be on until night. Mo's getting her wisdom teeth out, so I gotta be there for the operation.
Well, it's you and me, Clant. And maybe Crowdy, but Crowdy's probably busy.
I'll be on for a night stream. I'll be there.
Oh, yeah. I'll be on early in the morning with Symphony and Magnificent.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoy watching the Toronto event this weekend. These two fine gentlemen will be casting. Crowder's team's playing in it, and I'll just be sitting on my ass watching. It's gonna be a good time.
It's a good ass though. Holy shit.
Thank you. Make sure you guys subscribe to all of our YouTube channels and subscribe to our Twitch stream as well. We stream every single day. Love you all. Goodbye.